Right, hello everyone. Is everyone here? Can you guys hear me? Great. In that case, hi everyone and welcome to Demystifying Agile for Nonprofits. My name's Amnon Kruvi from Isimio for Volunteer Management, and I'm very excited to introduce one of the most exciting speakers of the day. She's the author of Becoming More Agile Whilst Delivering Salesforce. It's available on Amazon. You can't even say the word agile without thinking about her. And she's one amazing contributor to our local community here in the UK. I'd like to give a huge welcome to Ines Garcia. Now, before we start, I'd just like to remind you all that this webinar is being recorded and it will be available in case you miss it. And if you are viewing this live, we'd love to hear from you in the chat if you have any questions or comments or anything you just want to talk about. So yeah, if you've only just joined us, today's session is going to be all about how agile thinking can help nonprofits deliver better value. So without further ado, uh, here's Ines. On to you.
Thank you so much, Amon. Thank you for that. And well, I'm honored to be kicking off this first ever nonprofit Dreamin. So the aim of this session is to clarify what is all this hype of Agile about. So we have little time, and mostly it's going to be kind of presentation, but I'm going to be asking you a few things along the way. So grab screenshots and don't get distracted with notifications, which is really easy, because you're going to get the most value just being present. So I'm going to be doing this with Miro. It's going to be a bit more fluid than just some slides. But first, big thank you to our sponsors. So thanks to them, we are able to have this nonprofit Dreamin happen. And I just want to say hola. I'm Ines Garcia. I'm an Agile coach and a Salesforce MVP. I have 13 certifications and counting. And I've been doing this Agile and Salesforce since 2013. I truly believe of leaving the world in a better place. So I'm very, very happy to be here. I advocate for the community and Agile, and I get involved, as you can see, with trillion things because I think we only live once. And I'm always inventing things. I love games. Michael can tell you about it. And even invented one like a couple of years ago. And the latest adventure, as Amon was saying, is publishing a book about these two things I really care about, Salesforce and Agile. So if we have some time at the end, maybe some questions about it, feel free. First of all, pop in the chat. When you think of Agile, out of these 4 images, which one describes the best how you feel about Agile? Okay, keep them coming. Right, we have a good mix over here. So thank you. Nice. Okay, I think there are all the favors there. So thank you everyone for sharing with others. Let's see how you feel at the end of this session. So, so as a good philosophers, we should really start with defining things, and Agile as an adjective is to move quick and in an easy way, like this doggy here. Now, Agile with capital A is an incremental approach. It's iterative. It's about optimizing predictability and controlling risk. To me, sounds really serious definition. I actually found this other description so much better of what we're trying to achieve here. And it's that we want to deliver better value, do that sooner, safer, and happier. So let me ask you, when you hear delivering better value, what does that mean to you? Put it in the chat. the impact for the mission that we are part of, deliverable product, MVP first, quality, efficiency, goals. Nice. How about sooner? What does sooner mean to you? Frequent releases, clear comms, parity. How about safer? Pivot, nice. Secure, yes. Yeah, safer is hard. Okay, and you know the last, happier. I'm very passionate about this, and I think is something that gets missed very often. And actually, thriving for happiness, it makes sense. What does happier means to you? Nice. Thank you for playing, guys. I will continue asking. Sustainable. Yeah, there's fantastic adjectives coming through. Okay, right. So how do we do this? How we go around this, right? So I think a way to depict that better values sooner, safer, and happier could be like this image over here, right? So let's think about to deliver a product that is going to help someone to go from A to B. In like the most traditional way to tackle projects, you'll be looking at the top part of the image, where you can only do so, go to from A to B until you get 100% of the thing complete. Instead, as some of you have already mentioned, the concept of MVP. So look at the bottom section of the image, right? Our customer is happy throughout, and we have this concept of continuous delivery and iterations of valuable, so somebody can actually go to it from A to B throughout, right? And this concept of minimum viable product or minimum marketable feature is really about to reduce waste, right? So have these constant feedback loops so that we can reduce deviation and waste. And just to put it in context, I can tell you a story about a very good friend of mine. Actually, is one of the first persons I met when I moved from Barcelona to London. And a couple of years back, she was working for a small NGO in London. They had like 7 staff members plus volunteers. And it was the lifetime work of the CEO who built connections and fundraising all her life to transform forgotten places into community gardens. And all the information and everything, it was in her head. One day, she got diagnosed with brain cancer, and we had to move quick. Now, as many as you know, the nonprofit Success Pack has grown a lot over the years, and to go live and to be able to use the thing quick, we started really small, so that at least that information and lifetime service could be captured and continue as her legacy. But let's start with why, right? Why do we care of doing things differently? So, because we are in Salesforce context, I'm going to give you their example, which is Salesforce themselves. They made the move in 2006 of their engineering teams to be more agile. And with that move, they increased their productivity by 38%, and they managed to wrap up the major releases 60% faster. These are very big numbers. So we have some more numbers over here. Figure sticks to heart. So the chaos report of Agile increases success rate by 39%. And basically, as more complex something is, the most you can get out of it. And some studies from Dr. Rico that talks about improvements in cost, in scheduling, productivity, quality, we were talking about earlier, satisfaction, efficiency. But we can't just think about one team. We need to think as a whole. So teams can go fast, real fast, but if the rest of the organization doesn't keep up with the pace, then it kind of defeats the object. So having a holistic business agility really helps you to speed to market and helps you to adjust and succeed in market, have wider satisfaction to all your shareholders. It's not only about your customers or your stakeholders. So, okay. You may be thinking, okay, why to bother do things differently of what we're doing already? And basically it's because a century ago, just picture yourself a century ago, we were focused more in execution rather than innovation. Life was more predictable, what we're going to accomplish and how we're going to do it. We had very defined roles with defined modules, defined practices to execute very defined plans. Makes sense. Now, things change more quickly. So we need to inspect and adapt more rapidly and deal with greater uncertainty. So we're going to be doing some drawing now. And when I say doing things differently, differently of what? So there is a very common methodology to deliver projects. It's called Waterfall. It's kind of a cascade of events. And it goes this way, right? So first you will have a phase of requirements. After that, you will wrap up that phase and start a new phase when that's finished for design. After that, then you will wrap that phase and close that off and start the develop, actually touching the product. Then you most likely will have a different phase for integration. And then you'll have another one for test. At the very end, you get to deploy something. Okay, so what's happened here, right, is that if we're just going to draw a little bit and say, right, so this is the stuff that we want to do, and this is our timeline, let's say. Now, at this point of time, when we're starting the project, right, we rarely have perfect knowledge at the very beginning. In fact, is when we know the least that we are ever going to know about what we're building in the future, right? So doing this cascade of events, we bring this over. Where you start with your requirements, right? And your design, that. At this point of time, you actually haven't touched the product. We still have the same amount of stuff to do that we did at the start. So in traditional project management, you kind of have three different variables. Let me just put them here. So we have the concept of cost, or your budget, your time, and your quality, right? Okay, so here, right, we have gathered some requirements, popped them in some documents, very long documentation, similar to high-level design, lots of documents handed over from different individuals and teams. But you haven't touched the product. So we are going to find out things as we go. So at this point of time, what do you do? Do you ask for more budget so you can still deliver on time and quality? That doesn't go down very well, generally. Or you ask for the timeline to be extended. That also doesn't go down very well often. maybe you have a campaign and you already have things coming on the pipeline for that time. And unfortunately, what often happens is that key deliverables and items, such as assurance, it kind of gets like stretched towards the end, and you end up with this, let's say, we can call it like bombshell effect, which I think the name, it tells you a lot. Then we go to production and explodes. And this is not only like team-based. Look at the level of the organization, where that mission strategy, yearly strategy, or your quarterly allocations and all of that, how does that translate to here, right? So in this agile way of thinking, what we want is to, throughout, have those small feedback loops so that we can throughout deliver that value, right? Hence the little present at the end. So we do the different sections that you might need to do, which is find out more info, see how it fits with the rest of the architecture, build the product and integrate it with other existing parts, and assuring that the thing doesn't gonna blow off once you go to production, and get it in the hands of the users and learn from it, right? So that's the concept that we're trying to break here. So a completely different way how to tackle things. And what I find amusing is that Waterfall is like the most used method to tackle projects, and is often attributed to this guy called Winston Royce. And even himself on his papers said, I believe in this concept, but the implementation described above is risky and invites failure. Somehow, I don't think many got to read till the end. So in a very simplistic manner, one could argue that Agile brings another variable to the table, which is called features, in a very simplistic way. Now, I said that Waterfall is a method, a methodology. So let's go back to descriptions and find out what actually a methodology is about, right? It's a system of methods using a particular area of study or activity. Okay, that doesn't tell us much. Let's find out what methods are. And it's a particular procedure for accomplishing or approaching something, especially a systematic and established one. Now, I put the avocado here because it reminds me the idea of advocate, and what I advocate for. Come back here, avocado, is that Agile is actually a mindset. It's a mindset of we are not doing Agile, we are being Agile. It's a mindset that, let's bring this over. Now, of course, we're going to plan, but we promote adaptive planning. We're going to develop that. We tackle the things differently, evolutionary development. We deliver, but early delivery, and that concept of continuous improvements, whilst Agile really encourage rapid and flexible response to change. So I'll tell you a little bit of history lesson here, which is the Agile Manifesto. You can go to this website. And around 20 years ago, I think it was 20 years ago, maybe a week ago or so, in 2001, a bunch of people that were doing things differently, they came together in a ski resort in Utah. They left discrepancies aside, and they came together to find similarities of how to align and be most effective. And you had representatives there from extreme programming, Scrum, Crystal, pragmatic programming, all sorts. And yes, although the Agile Manifesto comes from software, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can only apply that mindset to software. Majority of the work that I do is around Salesforce, but I had teams of like a roofing company, and yes, they also find bugs when they go to site, and yes, they do investigations. And even I was doing some work with a project, a PMO team, a project management office team. So yes, they can also be more agile to what they do. Right? So we did say that things change quickly, right? So just thinking about last 12 months and the roller coaster that has affected our world, and our world from racing to how we market and engagement, our constituents, and financial processing, our programs, events, and volunteering grants. So how many months and months of projects are right now in limbo or have gone to the bin? They're not used. It's mad. Just think about all that time and effort and funds invested there. Also, there has been some negative impact, such as, the pandemic has obviously a reduce of expenditure because of uncertainty. The ops around NGOs have been very stretched because of the crisis, and how we deal with work from home and like fast turnaround that we had to turn things, and the vicious cycle of we have less funding, then we need to we have increased perceived risk and the human services that NGOs do, the impact that had. But more than ever, we can make a difference. And also it has some positive items to it. So the kind of work that we do, the business is, the organizations are leaning on that digital engagement transformation, and we can make a difference there. The performance and tools are valued more, especially in a recession. Our constituents lead into more digital engagement. Things are less expensive, digital products, and thrives in this kind of platform ecosystem. Giving Tuesday reported that had much more increase of donations over the prior year, 28%, in fact. And June last year, 41% reported that the total of private donation increased. People come together when things like this happen. So keeping in mind that mindset when approaching a challenge is very important. In fact, it's key that we keep going and we keep doing what we're doing, because we have a massive impact. We have the ability to really help. So Agile Manifesto has given us 4 values and 12 principles to guide our actions. And in the little time that we have, we just don't have time to go into the details. But just grab this link so you can get the course for free. I'm even covering as well the Agile Onion, which you can see in the screen just now. It also covers cycles, for example, the Scrum framework into more detail. And when we are talking about having feedback loops to deliver value throughout, you may have seen this visual representation. So this is a cycle. This could be a cycle. And in those cycles of constant feedback loops, the benefits of doing so is that allows you to go to market earlier, right? You get that value in a smaller form out to the market. So you can start trading or income or value earlier. Then you get feedback earlier because it's really used. And so you can learn what is really wanted, what it works. And so with that information, you can inform your next steps rather than guessing. So again, that concept of reducing waste. So for example, if we go back to the story, we may have enabled households, organizations, relationships, and affiliations just to go live. Then we added donations and income management. And then very basic volunteering, as volunteering was kind of the backbone for their operations. So you may have heard of that word of sprint, and it's used for that concept of cycle. It's like a time box. And the value that Timeboxes gives you is to reduce uncertainty and increase agreement. So you can respond to that new events and information. You can deploy viable value into the market. You can learn what's valuable and then input in the next steps. Adjust your approach based on that feedback. and stop wasting time on things that don't work, and experiment and innovate faster, because you can put bets, see how they work, and decide if you invest more there. To wrap up, all of the things that we've been covering, what it helps you is to give you more competitive advantage that no other way can do at their rate, right? So having a vision and fine tuning along the way is like a journey, right? Imagine on a map. It's important that you think about how you slice the work. What is the bare minimum that's going to give you the most of return right now? And ultimately to deliver better mission value sooner, safer, and happier. So remember, the goal is not to be agile. The goal is to improve. And with the idea of improvement, I'm going to ask you what you thought, if you are so kind, fill that up. Just 3 questions, completely anonymous. Also, if you know any Scrum Master, send them my way. I'm very passionate about the concept of the commons, so how we build communities beyond the work. And as I say, I'm always inventing things. So I had a new idea recently to build with other Scrum Masters. So please send them my way. Just to wrap up, if you guys want to pop in the chat, just 1 or 2 ideas that has popped in your head of things that you can do. What has resonated to you? How are you going to use this information? How can you deliver that better value, do that sooner, safer, and happier? Also, if we have any questions, probably now is the time. Okay. Yeah, I see things coming through now. Sorry, it's a little bit delayed. So yeah, liberating mindset, very nice, important as a goal. Absolutely. Yeah, get people. Yeah, nice. Presentation, yes, I can make it available. I send it over to the host and our volunteerings to make it available for all of you. Yeah, for the 101, I can give you the link. Just grab that course. That should help. And Aman, yeah, there you go. Here we are.
Right. So what an excellent session. We learned about feedback loops and agile onions, which I can only assume is some type of ninja. And if you want to learn more, do check out Ines's new book, Becoming More Agile Whilst Delivering Salesforce. It's brand new and it's amazing. So Ines, thank you so much for doing this today. And if you have any questions, by all means, I'd imagine you're going to be here, right? You're not impossible to get in touch with. So, so feel free to do just that. And I hope you all had a great time and learned a lot.